Morning, everybody. Thank you to the nearly 28,000 people that came forward to testing. Dr. Chant and I yesterday made a really big effort to encourage those higher rates of testing, and I'm really pleased we've seen that happen to 8 p.m. last night, and we can't stress enough how important it is to keep up those high rates of testing. To 8 p.m. last night, there were 10 cases of community transmission in New South Wales. 5 were directly linked to the Avalon cluster. 3, as we'd already foreshadowed yesterday, were members of the Croydon cluster, which we foreshadowed. 1 is a link to the transport worker cluster, which we'd previously spoken about, and 1 is under investigation. There's a chance it's an old case or else a false positive, but serology is looking at that. That's the 10th one. So pleasingly, we've seen the numbers go down today, but it's very volatile. They're going to bounce around, and what is really important is for all of us to do everything we can to reduce our mobility, to reduce the number of people that we're mixing with, and to make sure that we stick to the rules and the health advice that's been provided. Can I stress again, if you're in an indoor place, if you're going grocery shopping, if you're in a place of worship, you have to wear a mask. You should be wearing a mask. But obviously in outdoor settings, if you can't guarantee social distancing, if you can't guarantee all the other factors which make it COVID safe, you should also make sure you're wearing a mask. And I want to thank people who've been doing that consistently. And of course, you shouldn't be catching public transport really at this stage if you're not wearing a mask. And we want to strongly continue to encourage that. That's been what we've been saying from the outset. But at this stage, in dealing with the pandemic, dealing with the outbreak, the most important thing is for those testing rates to remain high. If you have the mildest of symptoms, please make sure you get tested and stay home until you're advised otherwise. Make sure also that you're looking at the New South Wales government websites to see where those latest venues are, to determine whether you've been a close contact or a casual contact, and to follow the health advice. That is really, really important. As Dr. Chant, myself and the Minister have foreshadowed, we'll have more to say later in the next few days about the Northern Beaches. I want to thank the Northern Beaches community for their patience, and of course we're looking forward to be giving some relief to the southern part of the Northern Beaches from the 3rd of January, and we'll make that clear on the 2nd. And of course, the northern part of the Northern Beaches community, we're asking them to respect the stay-at-home provisions and also the outdoor rec numbers until the 9th of January. Tonight is New Year's Eve, and ordinarily our activities would be very different to what we're asking everybody to do, but I appreciate and understand most people completely appreciate why we've put the restrictions in place that we have, and I want to thank everybody for their cooperation, and I want to thank everybody for taking the current situation seriously as we need to. Dr. Chant will obviously provide a detailed update on the cases, but it's really important to make sure we keep those testing rates up. And given the change in circumstances for New Year's Eve, Assistant Commissioner Willing will give a police update on some of the operations they're undertaking to not just ensure that crowds stay away from CBD and those major thoroughfares, but also to make sure compliance. Make sure if you are going to a hospitality venue this evening, you've already downloaded the Service New South Wales app. Make sure if you're a business, you've got the QR codes in place to allow your patrons to come in and out safely, so we know exactly where everybody has been. And please, the last thing we want is to welcome in 2021 with a super spreading event. 2021, all of us are hoping, will be easier on us than 2020. And let's start the year off on a positive foot by doing the right thing, by respecting the restrictions that are in place, but also demonstrating common sense, because good government policy and restrictions doesn't cover every situation in every single venue, in every single circumstance. So there is also an element of exercising good common sense, which the good people of New South Wales have done to date, and we ask everybody to please continue that.